Got my friend, the fasting doctor, up first. Dr. Cecily Ann, what you got for us?
Hey, thanks for hosting, Jimmy and Lauren, and thanks for having me on the stage. Lauren, many interesting things about your story I found, first of all. But one thing I found in particular, which I'm still struggling with, you mentioned that your father was a nutritionist, but he actually encouraged you to have, healthy fats and kind of set you, it seems like, on the journey of learning more about the low carb and eventually keto space. I am struggling with both nutritionists and dietitians in my area. I'll have patients, and now I've started not referring anymore, but probably about a couple years ago, I would refer out so that they could get more of the deep, nutrition counseling and some of the things that I'm not always able to do in one office visit. And then my patient would come back to me in, a month or so and say, well, they told me the exact opposite of everything that you said in terms of decreasing carbohydrates, et cetera, or about the healthy fats, or even frowned upon intermittent fasting. And so I'm just wondering if you've come across any resources that just, other than like Diet Doctor, for patients to go to, or people to go to, especially if they're interested in working with a nutritionist or dietitian who is keto or low carb friendly.
First of all, thank you, Dr. Cecily Ann, for listening and for your question. It's really good to connect with you. I guess, for me, it's always been my dad that's been my greatest influence, and his nutrition knowledge. And, he has his PhD in nutrition, and he was just a huge influence on my life growing up. I just would always watch how he would eat, and he wouldn't force anything on me. I just sort of would observe him, and then as I got older, naturally started gravitating towards the way he would eat. And so I see that all the time where, you go to the doctor. I'll go to the doctor. I just got my blood tested, and my cholesterol came back, and it was, they were like, oh my God, your cholesterol is high. You really need to watch your diet or something like that. And me and my dad were laughing because we were just like, they're doctors and they're super smart and they're amazing at what they do, but there's some things that they fall short at because they are just not educated about that. And, statins, I don't know if they want to sell the statins and, help the pharmaceutical companies. I'm not sure what the motivation is behind that, or if they literally just don't understand, that, high cholesterol is genetic in my family. And everybody in my family has lived a really long life. So it's just hard. It's frustrating because there's this disconnect that what they're teaching the, doctors in school and dietitians and stuff is not healthy. It's not necessarily the healthiest thing, and it's ironic, but I'm not sure. I think my dad is the person that I always refer to people if they are struggling with their diets or certain health issues, and I help people. But I wish that there were more, when you go to the doctor, that they had this understanding and that they had more education in school about this, so that there wasn't this disconnect, and that low-fat diets weren't a trend, and cholesterol and eggs, eggs didn't have a bad rap back in the day. But I think that every day we're progressing, and I'm seeing changes when I go to the grocery store, and I'm seeing these big food companies getting on board and making healthier options. So, I don't know if that answers your question, but I definitely feel your frustration with, what some of these doctors and dietitians are recommending to their clients.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you, Cecily. Shan, you're up.
I talked to you yesterday, Jimmy, and I'm new to this keto.
Yeah.
Can you do this without counting like macros and going into keto? Is there an easy way just to not have to, I mean, I'm done counting calories, points, all
Yeah.
that. I've done every diet. I just want simplicity.
Lauren, I think for her maybe to start, just so she knows what it feels like to actually get into ketosis, kind of like what you did back in the day, and then like shift over to intuitive after that. What do you say, Lauren?
Yeah. First off, Shan, I love your accent. Where are you from?
From Kentucky, and I live in Nashville now.
Yeah, there we go, a Southern girl.
I love it. I love your accent. It's
you.
very charming. Yeah, I think that by trying just doing like a classic ketogenic diet at first and following those ratios of like the high fat, moderate protein, low carb, or even, high protein and high fat, I think that's fine. I think that you'll see a lot of amazing benefits, both cognitively and, energy wise. And maybe, then from that point on, you can eat more intuitively and eat for your needs and just listen to your body. And like I've been mentioning, like doing an elimination diet, maybe by doing a ketogenic diet, that will eliminate a lot of foods from your life. And you'll see how you feel. And that's always what I've done. If I suspect something is bothering me, I will just stop eating it for a while and then introduce it back and then see how it makes me feel.
So Lauren, this brings up a good point too, and it's going to relate to you, Shan. So listen to this since you're brand new. A lot of times people say, well, keto isn't working for me, I need to shift, but their connotation with working is all about the scale weight. What are the other things they need to be paying attention to other than scale? Scale is important, but it's not the only thing to pay attention to before you shift and customize more.
Yeah, definitely your energy levels or your mood. How is it affecting your mood? Is it enhancing your mood, or is it, is it like making you cranky? Are you, more irritable? Like things like that. And I mean, I think for me, I'm totally obsessed with how things make me feel mentally. I won't, if I know that, the next day I have something big going on, I'm very aware and very careful of like what I eat the night before. I like to eat things that make me feel like a superhero, and I know that are, going to affect me positively in the long term. Like I tell a lot of my clients that we need to be more aware of how things are making us feel when we eat them, like, because they affect us, like in the short term, they affect us in the midterm, and they affect us in the long term. And short term, like you might eat something and it might make you feel great and it might give you energy, but then an hour later you might crash and you might feel like crap. And then the next day, you might have like a food hangover. I don't know. Or if you eat something good, it might be, the opposite, where you're like, wow, that made me feel great. And then the next day I woke up and I didn't even think about it. And then obviously the long-term effects, like how is it going to affect you in the long term? If you're eating processed foods all the time, then eventually you're going to gain weight and it might lead to disease or some sort of an issue. So I think that we just need to be more aware of the effects of food on our body. And sorry, I went off on a tangent. Jimmy.
A tangent is what talking is all about, Lauren. So don't worry about that. Shan, did we answer your question? All right. Thank you for that. So let's go over to Instagram Live. Brittany says, how great is it when you can push the bounds of the so-called keto rules? I know that I feel so much better eating 60% fat, 30% protein, 10% carbohydrates. 60-30, by the way, fat to protein is basically a 1-to-1 ratio. In fact, it's less than 1-to-1 ratio of fat to protein. So it's about 0.8 to 1 gram of protein or fat to protein. And that's a wonderful thing that works for you, Brittany. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're doing, Lauren, where you're kind of aiming for slightly higher protein in terms of grams, still high fat. So is that true?
Yeah, and it kind of varies from day to day. Like some days I'm eating a lot higher protein,
right?
And but the fat is always, and then some days I'm eating a little bit higher fat, but the carbs always kind of remain on the lower side.
Yeah.
But I'm flexible, and I'm not like I enjoy the moment too. Like I'm right now, I'm at my parents' house, and there's some stuff that I would not normally eat, but I'm eating it because, it's my parents' home cooking, and like you can't be too rigid and too strict with your eating. But when I'm on my own, when I'm living on my own, I am, I'm always just thinking about, how can I nourish my body with the most nutrient-rich foods, and I like to. When I eat, I like to feel like a superhero. I don't like to feel like a slug.
Yes.
So, if you eat too many things that don't agree with you, you're not going to feel good. But I love what she said. Like, it's all about, it's going to be different from how the ratios of what makes you feel good to what makes me feel good. Everybody has different activity levels and different needs in their life. And so you got to figure that out for yourself. And I think it's, you're always evolving, and maybe next year you get into something that's more active, or maybe she has kids next year, and then maybe that'll change, the ratios of how she's eating. There's always life changes to account for.
That's right.
So we can't be rigid. We got to be, flexible.
Well, and some of your best friends in the world are carnivore people.
Yes, absolutely. I do have a lot of friends who are on the carnivore diet and swear by the carnivore diet, and I have seen the amazing changes in their bodies and their lives. But I also think that I don't know many people that are totally married to it either. Like Chris Bell, for example, he is somebody who eats a lot of steaks, and it has made a huge difference in his physique and his energy levels, and he just swears by it. But I just everybody's you gotta try things, and you gotta see if they work, and you gotta be open to them and open-minded. And I even did a carnivore diet experimentally for a week.
You did. I remember that.
It didn't end well, but I learned a lot.
Yes, and I think that's a lesson here too in trying to customize your keto. Don't be afraid to try things, because you don't know how you're going to react until you try it. By the way, Chris Bell is what, Big Strong Fast over on Instagram?
Yeah, at Big Strong Fast.
Yeah. So go check him out. He's a really good resource if you're interested in carnivore. We're going to go ahead and reset the room, you guys. We're in Keto for the Soul. Judith, take it away. And she's back. Oh, there she is.
Hey, everyone. Yes, we are in Club Keto for the Soul. Today, we are hanging out with Jimmy and Lauren, and I am so honored and so blessed that we have you sharing all your knowledge, bringing so much value to this conversation. If you are not following the club already, please make sure you are following the club. You will get a ping every time an amazing conversation like this gets started. And take it away, Jimmy.
So that's Lauren Pappas. I'm Jimmy Moore. Definitely click on Lauren's photo. She doesn't do a whole lot of these, but we're trying to coax her into doing more of them. You guys like the knowledge, definitely hit the hand. Come up and ask a question. We got plenty of time for you guys today if you want to ask a question for me and Lauren about this customizing keto. But Judith, while your mic's open, go ahead. If you have a question or a comment, fire away. There she is. Okay, she's back.
Yeah, no. I'd love to ask a question. So,
yes.
Lauren, when you were first getting started, did you hear a lot of the negative stuff? Because I know, like, when I first started my journey, there were so many negative things out there that I was a little, undecisive if I should start. But then quickly, once I started, then I realized, okay, wait, never mind. This is amazing. But was there anything that maybe held you back from deciding to live this lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, there were so many naysayers. It was hilarious. It was just so funny because I was working in the fitness industry as a trainer and competing and doing fitness modeling. And so everybody is obsessed with these low-fat diets, and that's how they get in shape. But for me, it was like, I knew because of my dad that was unhealthy. Like, that was blasphemy. Like, the word low fat, like, oh my God. Or like, I remember one time in high school bringing something low fat into the house, and my dad was like, ew, what is that? Like, get that out of the house. Like, And it was good to grow up that way because I just knew like that's not good for you. It's